All right, so I got a lot of shit to say, and but I'm gonna try and keep this like as a 30-minute video. I don't want it to go too long. Got shit to do. I want to get to it. I know I haven't been uploading regularly. I have got the feeling like I'm going to be doing some shit soon. I got a couple of video ideas I'm going to throw out. But you know, I've been uploading more frequently to Instagram than I have been here, but it's because most of the shit isn't really like car related, it's personal stuff. But I think this is going to be a good one. This video is kind of like, plus I want to tell you guys, and it's a little bit gossipy, but some of it's not just, you know, gossip with a company or about a company, but it's also about some personal interactions we have had with you guys, and I want to talk about the details of the Type R. Like, I know I kind of went over it loosely in the video, like my first impressions and shit, but I want to discuss the price, the reason why I accepted the price, and, you know, everything with me making the final decisions to get in the car. Because I kind of, like I said before, I kind of skimmed over it, and there's a lot of people thinking I'm really crazy for agreeing to the price tag that I did, and how much there's a method to the madness. There's a reason behind why I decided to do it, other than just an impulse buy, because that wasn't the thing. All right, so first off, I don't really want to name the company because I don't want to make it look like I'm throwing max speeding rods under the bus or anything like that. But so some months ago, I made a video when I found out the max speeding rods. I mean, this company that remains nameless is making some rods for the K20A3. Why? Because I was really excited about it because nobody's really making K20A3 rods. So I figured, let me get enough attention and see if I can't get one of these a set of rods to test. The main reason was because at the time, like, I saw a lot of people doing a lot of product advertisements, so it seemed like the company was doing a big advertisement push, and it seemed appropriate for this topic for me to ask specifically for these rods because I'm the one that does all the K20A3 talking about modifications on YouTube. Yeah, you'll see, of course, K20A3 videos up there or whatnot, but it's mainly just guys bolting on like little eBay turbo kits or whatnot to a stock K20A3. Nobody's really talking about doing anything with an NA, besides the odd ancient VTEC killer video that doesn't really give too much into it, too much depth into it. So I figured, hey, I'm a small YouTuber, but I figure I have enough weight to maybe get some shine for this, to not feel weird about asking for these free. Again, modest YouTuber, like, I'm not huge, but I've got, the channel has accrued 1.7 million views, and I personally directly have been involved in thousands of dollars in product sales for Nippon Racing, and at least a few thousand, directly through cylinder support system and whatnot. So, and indirectly, I can't even tell you. So I'm figuring a set of rods, they sell for like $288. So I can, even if I only convince one person to buy these rods, right, I'm making their money back. So they're literally not losing anything. And on top of that, if I really want to be a vindictive prick and a dickhead, I could be like, no, don't buy these rods. They're fucking trash company, blah, blah, blah. They'll blow up your shit. And then instead of making you money, you're losing a whole bunch of money. So there's that. And I'm not saying that. I will 100% use these rods eventually at some point in time, I imagine. All right. But my problem with the rods is the same problem I have with the Speed Factory no-notch rods. There's a scarcity issue. If I can't go to some store whenever I have a whim, or whenever I want to sell this product, or whenever I want to buy this product, and I have to get in line, or maybe I get lucky and they're for sale, it's not practical. If I can't regularly use it whenever the fuck I want, it's not a practical thing to do. All right? So that's my big problem there. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this story, right? The reason why I'm talking about this, I'm telling this, is because I have some personal guidelines and rules for certain things that I do in my life. If you ever have this thing, it's like, there's a lot of things I'll do, but I won't do that for a moral reason, or for whatever personal reason you have to not do anything, right? There's a couple of rules I have like that, pre-marriage, one of the rules I had for females is like, I will never chase a girl. And I'm not saying it's never happened, but once I catch myself doing it, I stop myself. Like, no, we're not doing this. You're pursuing too hard. Let it go. Right now, I have the same thing like this with about product advertisement, shit like this. I see some people that are so blatantly advertising things. I don't want to be that way, right? And also, I don't want to be the guy that, you know, starts advertising things on a channel that have no relation whatsoever to do with the channel. Like I see, you know, like people like would talk about shaving their balls on like a book reading channel or something like that. Like, come on, man, what the fuck? So, you know, I don't want to be a sellout. I don't want to be a fucking sellout. I don't want to do things just because of the money, right? Now, and I don't want to go over the top on advertisement, do all kinds of things like that because of a free product, right? So I originally reached out to these people, and I had a story about this, you know, months ago when I originally tried to talk to them, and my plans didn't go the way I wanted to. I wanted like a retail discount, not some bullshit fucking discount coupon code that literally a million people have. I wanted something specifically for me to sell the product. And I think that, like I just said, I've sold thousands of dollars of other things. I know I can make this company money, compensate me a little bit, you know? And then it seemed like they acknowledged that they do that, but then it kind of fizzled out the conversation. Every once in a while, this lady I spoke to would come in and like an Instagram post or whatnot, so I know she was still watching, right? So a couple days ago, earlier in the week, I had a message from somebody who was also saying that, hey, this person talked to me, told me you'd be a good candidate. You know, which product would you like to advertise? I was like, these rods. Oh, these are rods? Yeah, those are rods. Well, how would you advertise? I'm like, well, I'd make a YouTube video, and I guess I would post advertisements on my social media. What social media do you have? Because I have all of them. Well, could you show me a link? I said, dude, just Google VHP engines. All of those are mine. The website, the Instagram, the YouTube, and you know, the Facebook. It's all of the VHP engines. The top searches are all me. I would advertise on those. Oh, are you in a related Facebook group? So I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. And then I realized that because of the English barrier, that he meant like, was I in car groups? Like, you know, just random car groups out there. D series group, B series group, stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I see. You want me to advertise in those. No, I'm not really going to do that. I don't advertise my own product. I'm not going to go out there and start trying to push your product. I hate seeing that from other people. Like, people who self-promote, it's just weird for me. Like, you don't, if your shit's decent or people are going to watch your shit, they're going to find it naturally. They're going to want to subscribe. They're going to tell their friends on their own. You pushing your own advertisement just seems weird in that context for me personally. I'm not saying it's good or bad. Do whatever you want to do. It's just weird for me. I don't like doing it, right? So I was like, I don't push my own product. I'm not going to push yours like that. I was like, I'll do my own uploads or whatnot, you know, and then they're like, okay, well, how long is the video going to be? It has to be a minimum of 10 minutes. I said, look, man, I can't guarantee you it's going to be 10 minutes. The last time I spoke about your product, it was like a 4.5 minute video. You know, I can't guarantee that. I don't do scripts, and I'm not going to fluff my shit up with intros or whatever, just so that way we can hit the 10-minute mark because you guys feel it's better for the algorithm for more advertisement. It's not happening. It might go over 10 minutes. It might not. I can't guarantee it. It's most likely going to be a 4 to 8 minute video. As I'm saying this shit to him, like, I'm thinking I'm going to talk about this, so it's probably going to be more than 10 minutes. I'm going to talk about what we're talking about here because I'm starting to get frustrated. And then he's like, oh, would you be willing to advertise in related forums? I'm like, no, I don't do forums. I don't do that. I don't do forums. I'm not going to do that. And then, you know, he's like, we kept going in circles like this off and on for days. So he hits me up finally again, like, the night before last. I'm at the gym, you know, he's going in again. And I'm like, dude, like, I was like, you know what, man? I realized that I'm doing too much for these fucking rods. I'm getting frustrated, but I'm still continuing the conversation in an attempt to get these rods for free. I'm like, you know what, man, fuck this. I'm like, I told you, you know, this is what I'm going to do. You give me the product and I will advertise it the way I see fit. In whichever manner I feel I'm going to advertise. And then that will be enough for you. And if it's not enough for you, bro, then don't give me the rods. They're fucking $280 rods. I don't need handouts. I can buy them on my own if I want. I'm not going to jump through hoops and do things that I don't normally do for you to get a little bit of fucking advertisement. It's just not going to happen. Oh, please let me know by tomorrow if you're willing to do this. I'm not. I just looked at the message. We're not talking anymore. If I ever hear from these people again, the only thing I want to hear is what's a mailing address to send these rods to. I do not want to have any more discussion with these fucking people. It's mad annoying. So, I'm not a sellout, bro. So I'm not doing that shit. You want to give me a product to advertise because you feel like I can do something for you, and I goddamn sure can, then by all means do that. Send me something. But don't try to force me to jump through some fucking hoops, because now you done aggravated me, and now I'm on the opposite side. Now it's to the point where I don't want to ever talk about these companies again, which is why Max Speeding Rods will remain nameless. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about too, that falls into the line of being a sellout. I will never push you guys to buy something that you don't need, something that I don't feel that you need, even if it's going to make me money. I'm not going to do that. So I discounted. I have 4 things that are expensive that I have ready to go that I discounted because I want to make up the money that I spent on the deposit for this car, right? I did have some people in my DMs asking about the K24 CSS block. One of the guys hit me up, was like, "Oh, what's the bore size for the K24?" I'm like, "It's a stock bore. It's a standard bore right now." And he's like, "Oh, how's the condition of it?" I'm like, the condition is fine. There may be some faint scratch marks in there, but it's fine. Like, the K24 I sent, from what I remember, is healthy. I sent it because it was the only K24 I had that was suitable to send out. And now the K20Z3 that I have, this high horsepower CSS, it needs to be resurfaced. It needs to be resurfaced anyway for the machine process, right? So I figured that would be a good candidate to go out. If it needs machine work anyway, might as well do the CSS. That's the way I prefer to do. I'd prefer to send out blocks that need machine work and keep the ones that are healthy as is and use those for rebuild. But the guy's asking, he's like, "Hey, can I run it at standard bore?" I was like, "You probably could, but they don't recommend it." And I don't recommend it anymore either. Even for my regular ass $1,500 builds, I'm like, I recommend now that we just do the machine work. I've already explained that these blocks are really old. In some cases 30 years old. It's not going to be perfect. The best way to get perfect is just go to 5 over and just resurface, do the cleanup, all that shit. Might as well just go through the whole process and get the machine work done, especially because the price is well enough for that. So, but the guy kept insisting, right? So he's like, "Oh, what's your opinion?" I was like, "Well, I gave you my opinion, bro." He's like, "Oh, well, I have pistons, so I want to just use the pistons." Like, bro, do whatever the fuck you want, man. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Now, I could have been a salesman and been like, "Yeah, bro, this is going to be perfect. You can go ahead and send it the way it is. You ain't got to do a goddamn thing. You'll be fine. No worries." I could have done that. If I would have just said to the guy what he wanted to hear, I would have sold the fucking block. And I'd have $700 in my pocket right now, or $750. Yeah, so I'd have $750 extra in my pocket right now, and I would be almost out of the hole that would cost me for this car, for the deposit and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, I could have done that, but instead, didn't sell out, not pushing anything that I don't believe in, so it didn't happen, right? So lastly, and thankfully, I spoke fast enough that this hasn't extended too long. But the last thing I wanted to talk about is the CTR. Now, I told you guys in the video that it was $45,000, and that was the sticker price on the car. Eventually, to make the deal go through, they lowered the price down to $43,000, so that way I could get the car. Now, people are like, "Oh my God, $45,000 for a CTR, for FK8, bro, a fucking used one. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?" Okay, so I did some searching immediately off that. The average price down in the Florida area, the lowest price that I could see for FK8 touring, because it's a touring package, remember, touring, right, was $41,000. $41,000, and it was a 2017. Right, this is 2019, and they were asking $45,000. Got it for $43,000. The lowest price was $41,000 and change, right? It was a couple years older than this one. The rest of the prices on the couple that were up for sale was $42,000, $43,000, and $43,000. So already off rip, as far as the prices in Florida, in my living in a couple hundred miles of range of me, that's the regular price for this. All right, so that's that. That's the reason why. Can you get an FK8 in the $35,000, $36,000 range, $33,000 range? Yes, depending on the mileage and the year of the car, you definitely 100% can. And trim level. 35 to 36 is what I was expecting that they were going to ask walking into the dealership. All right. That was not the case. I was not prepared for the price that they gave me. Now, why did I go through with it? Why did I decide to go ahead and do it? Oh, there's a couple reasons. Well, now those of you that follow me on my personal Facebook, I've been talking about since like middle of last year. Since this time last year, I've been talking about a couple of cars. I've been talking about the Corvette, C6, the C7, and I was talking about the Type R. Now, the Type R was the most practical, especially after I bought the S2000. I need a car that I can pick up and drive my kids around in. Can't do that in a Corvette. All right. So my decision was to buy the fucking S2000 and then keep the SI. I didn't expect to be offered a trade for the Type R or to even get approved for one because I didn't want to put anything down. All right. So there's that. Also, I've ain't really telling anybody, but those nights when I'm laying in bed and I'm a little restless and I grab my phone and I start poking around, at least twice a month, have been checking the dealerships that are local to me for used Type Rs just to get a gauge on the price. There was none. In the last 8 months, the dealership that I got this Type R from has had Type Rs 2 times. This being the second time they had Type Rs. The first time they had them, a week, and they were gone. And this time, they told me they had 3. Literally a day after I went there, 2 of the 3 were gone. This is one of those cars that is super hot down here. The guy even told me that most people have Type Rs on reserve. Use one. Like, hey, when the next one comes in, I'm the guy that's getting that type deal. So this is still a pretty rare car. Now, I think that most of the FK8 craze has passed because the majority of people that really wanted to get one already have one. So they're out there. But even with me saying that, now, is it as rare for me to see an FK8 on the road as opposed to an S2000? No. I've literally only seen one other S2000 down here since 2018. Now, as far as the CTR, it's probably been 5 or 6. But 5 or 6 is still 5 or 6. That's still a super limited amount of these cars that you see on the road. All right. So, despite that, I was like, okay, it's a hefty price tag. I can still afford to pay it. I did the math even with my regular income. Like, even if VHP Engine's income disappears between me and my wife, what we make, we can still comfortably pay this car and have money left over. I spend a lot of money every month on bullshit. I spend at a minimum $600 on going out to eat. We go out nearly every weekend and spend $80 to $100 going out. And, you know, there's trips to Orlando, shit like that. We move around quite a bit. So I was like, yeah, even at worst case scenario, all I have to do is just tighten up a little bit on that until I can rebuild my savings stash. And then I can just go back to live my normal life. And I'm paying a couple $100 more than I used to pay for the SI. Okay, so again, like, I know that I had bad credit, and I know that's not the end of the world. All right. So when I bought the SI, I had like a 580 credit score. I'm up to a 625 now. But it's not just the points alone that has changed in the time since you know, going to buy the SI or whatnot. I had a year of perfect payments, unmissed payments on the SI. And a lender can look at the car or the SI and see the amount I was paying for it, which was extremely high, and be like, okay, he's not missing anything, he's never been late, and this is his monthly income, you know, so we'll give him a chance on the more expensive car. So another one of the reasons why I decided to go with it is because it's kind of like a test for me too. I feel that with the payment I'm making for this car, I can literally have anything I want, like anything practical that I want. If I can pay this, and I can, then I can get whatever I want to fucking drive. As long as it's not like a supercar or a hypercar, you know, anything reasonable I can get. All right. Also, too, my 18 plus point percentage interest range is now down to 12.5. So even though I'm paying more money, my interest is way down. So I'm not going to be the way I was paying the SI. By the time I was finished paying the SI, I would have paid Type R money. All right. The Type R is infinitely more worthwhile than the SI. The Blue Book value tanked on the SI within 6 months of me buying it. Because I would assume because they've already announced the next generation of Honda is coming out, I think, next year. So, yeah, I figured, you know, the Type R, as the same argument with buying the S2000, was going to be one of those cars that doesn't lose its value, really. The fact that this was used and they asked for what they asked for from me shows that if whatever, let's say next year, if circumstances change and I'm struggling to make payments on the car, then I could always trade it back out for something that's less money or whatever. You know, I could do that. But I don't think it's going to be an issue. Also, you know, the guy told me, you make a year of payments on this one, we can get you down to 4% interest. So once this car is done paid for, that literally opens me up to a world of just about anything that I can conceivably have, because this is, the thing that made me nervous about buying this car is PTSD that I have with buying cars. I bought, in my super broke days, I bought a lot of cars from buy here, pay here's that, for one circumstance or another, and didn't get finished paying, and that's what fucked me on my high interest for the cars. But I'm finally working my way up back to a point where I'm building enough trust with the creditors and whatnot, where I have multiple credit cards now, that I make one purchase a month on and pay it in full, usually a full tank of gas. So just rebuilding the credit, and the CTR will help me do that as well. So it's natural progression. You prove that you can do payments on a low balance, and then they give you a higher balance. So I was making perfect payments on a lower balance car that was going to be high ass interest. Now I'm paying higher payments on a higher balance car with lower interest. So this is just a natural progression for me to help rebuild my credit. I do not really like the credit card route. I think that the reason, there's two things for me to want an established credit line. There's two things in my life. One, home ownership, which eventually we'll get to. And the second is cars. I love cars. I want to be able to have nice, fancy fucking cars. Fancy for me is the fast cars, and I want to be able to have whatever I want, So the most important thing for me is to establish car credit. I've done that with the SI, and the SI gave me a Type R. That's the way I see it. I bought the SI, and a year later that transformed into a Type R. So I don't really plan on trading this car out. I'm so far, I'm gonna talk about it later. I'm really happy with what I bought. Just from the week that I've had it, and it being rainy most of the time, I'm extremely pleased with the car. So yeah, I don't have any regrets. And it may seem crazy, but by the time I almost put $5,000 down towards this car, so it really isn't crazy expensive considering the fact that the negative equity coming off the SI and what I walked out the door with, and what I'm going to be looking at paying next year. So I'm not displeased with the car. I said I wasn't going to modify it, but I've already found an intake that I like what it does. So I'm going to get that. And I imagine that once I get the intake, I'm probably going to get a downpipe. I don't think I'm going to change the exhaust, but I'll get intake, downpipe, and then I'm probably going to get a Honda to make the most of that and see what she does. But it's already pretty quick from what I can tell right now. I feel supremely confident that most shit I find on the road is not going to be an issue for me to get around or fuck with. So, and that's what I really wanted. I wanted a car that could get through traffic and not be embarrassed to try and push it if somebody's really fucking with me. The SI, to stay ahead of everything that it was staying ahead of was always a struggle. So I'm much happier with the FK8, and I think that what I'm gonna do, I think I got me a sucker mounted thingy, and I'm probably gonna be using that to do some in-car shit. And yeah, so there's gonna be some stuff with the CTR coming, and hopefully with the S2000 in the near future. Guys, appreciate you watching and sticking with me. If you want to talk to me, Instagram is probably your best way. Facebook Business doesn't really show me notifications. I have to go into it and check if people are talking to me. And recently, there's not been a lot of traffic through Facebook, so I haven't really been checking it as often. Instagram, it gives me notifications, so if you send me a question or whatnot, or if you have something to talk to me about, Instagram's the best way. But just know, guys, that if you're asking me shit that I talk about on the channel, I'm not gonna really say anything. You just have to search for it. And sorry, so I am screening, and most of the times the people I prioritize on Instagram are people that I've already had a history of talking to, or people that are got business inquiries. Otherwise, my days are really busy. I don't really have a lot of spare time during the day-to-day, so I'm just not gonna deal with talking to people, having long conversation with people who are asking me shit that I've already talked about a million times. All right, guys, so thanks again for watching. Social media links are in the description down below. Maybe not right away, but later on, depending on if you're watching later in the day. And peace. Talk to y'all later.